Hi, my name is Scott Douglas. I'm the site manager at Fort Dobbs State Historic Site, and today we're going to tell you about the weapons used by the provincial soldiers who garrisoned Fort Dobbs during the French and Indian War. The provincials of North Carolina were in a bad state of supply when the war began. There were hardly any military muskets, no real stores of gunpowder or bullets in the colony. And so Governor Arthur Dobbs, as soon as the war commenced, had a shipment of 1,000 stand of arms sent across the Atlantic Ocean from the Tower of London to arm his new provincials. The weapons that these men received were Dutch muskets. They were military surplus weapons in their own time, guns that had been produced in Holland and the Netherlands in the 1720s and 30s. They were old, but they were still workable for the most part, and it was better than nothing. A stand of arms that each soldier received included a cutlass, a short sword much like the one I'm wearing here, a cartridge box which contained the soldier's ammunition, a bayonet, and a musket itself along with a shoulder sling. These guns, like all firearms in the 1750s, are flintlock weapons. And what that means is that the lock, the firing mechanism, contains a sharpened piece of flint. The flint will actually strike sparks off of a steel face, and those sparks will rain into a pan of gunpowder, igniting that powder charge, sending fire inside the barrel, where a larger charge of powder will explode, forcing a projectile downrange. There were several steps in the drill that a soldier learned to load and fire his musket, and we think for much of the war the North Carolina provincials went by Humphrey Bland's manual of 1756. So we're going to show you some of those steps and talk you through the process. Take care. Unfix your bayonet. Return your bayonet. Poise your firelock. Shoulder your firelock. Take care to perform the firing exercise. Join your right hand to your firelock. Recover your arms. Handle cartridge. The soldier is bringing his musket down and cradles it in the crook of his left arm, and he reaches into his cartridge box. It's a wooden block with 9 holes drilled in it, covered by a protective leather flap. In each hole is a paper cartridge, a tube with enough gunpowder for 1 shot, already measured and wrapped up together with a lead projectile. In the case of the Dutch musket, based on the archaeology here at Fort Dobbs, we think these were 71 caliber spherical balls, basically 1 ounce of lead that would come flying out of the end of this weapon. Uncap cartridge. Soldier would use his teeth to rip the tail end of the paper cartridge off, exposing the gunpowder charge inside. Prime. A small charge of gunpowder is poured into the pan underneath where the sparks from the flint will land when he pulls the trigger. Shut pan. Load with cartridge. All firearms in the 1750s are muzzle loading weapons. They load from the front end of the barrel, from the muzzle. So the powder charge, the bulk of it from the cartridge, is poured into the muzzle, and the paper itself, with the bullet still wrapped up inside, is inserted into the barrel. At this point, the projectile is stuck near the top of the barrel. We want it to be where the gunpowder charge is way down at the breech, near the lock. So every musket is equipped with a rammer or a ramrod. Draw your rammer. Ram down your cartridge. The rammer is used to force the bullet all the way home and seat it on top of that powder charge. Rammer is required for effective fire for every shot, so soldiers are trained to put it back in the pipes underneath before they pull their trigger. Return your rammer. Shoulder your firelocks. And with that, this provincial soldier is ready to fire 1 round. In combat, the commands for each of these steps will be dispensed with, and the men will simply be told to prime and load, at which point they'll go through the entire loading process as fast as they can, but still ideally reserve their fire until their section of a line, maybe 15 or 20 men, or an entire company of 50, are all ready to fire together. Being a smooth-bore weapon, this gun does not have rifling inside the barrel that will impart a spiral to a ball and keep it traveling in a straight line. It's basically like a big shotgun. So when you fire, the spherical bullet is going to bounce and tumble as it leaves the barrel, and at a distance beyond about 75 or 80 yards, it becomes very difficult to hit a man-sized target. That's why soldiers in open fields at this time typically employ lines of battle. They're going to be in massed formations, very close to each other, with multiple lines or ranks, one right behind the other, and all firing together in a volley. That will mask their gunfire and have a much greater effect on the enemy force down range than just single muskets firing individual shots. As the range is somewhat limited, the men are also very likely going to come to personal grips with the enemy during the battle, where they have to fight with swords or with their bayonets on the end of their muskets. And in that case, having their strength in numbers, they can be close together and they can help protect each other. Make ready! Present! Fire! Prime and load! A well-trained soldier should be able to go through the loading process and be ready to fire with his group in less than 20 seconds, ideally delivering 3, if not 4 shots a minute downrange towards the enemy. Cock your firelock. Present.